Okay, let's dive into this because, frankly, it's almost hard to believe. The White House dialed the wrong number.
Right. And not just any wrong number.
No, not like ordering takeout. They apparently tried to call a supportive governor, Henry McMaster.
And instead got H.R. McMaster.
Yeah.
Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, the former National Security Advisor, on his personal cell.
Yes, wow. The core premise is just kind of stunning incompetence, isn't it?
It certainly raises questions. We're looking at a commentary piece that breaks down this incident.
Yeah, and our mission here is to really unpack what this single event, this blunder, tells us or suggests about the administration's operations.
The key figures are, well, obviously the president, but then these two McMasters. Governor Henry McMaster of South Carolina.
A political ally.
Exactly. And then retired Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster, same last name, obviously different first name, crucially different roles.
HR versus Henry. Seems like a detail someone should have checked.
You'd think so. So the call goes through. Intended for Governor Henry.
But HR McMaster picks up. Can you imagine his surprise?
Well, yeah. Especially considering the recent history there.
Right. Let's talk about that context. Because just before this call,
H.R. McMaster had been on 60 Minutes.
and he wasn't exactly praising the president's foreign policy, particularly regarding Putin and Ukraine. He raised some serious questions.
He offered a critical perspective, yes, which apparently didn't sit well.
No, it definitely didn't. The president had attacked him on Truth Social just the day before, I think. Called him let me get the quote right, a weak and totally ineffective loser.
Yes, that's the reported post. So there's already significant, very public fiction.
Which makes the accidental call even more awkward, so the call connects.
And according to the commentary, the president opens with Henry.
Addressing the former National Security Advisor, the one he just called a loser, by the governor's first name.
It immediately signals something's wrong. A fundamental error right off the bat.
You have to picture H.R. McMaster on the other end. He reportedly corrects him, says something like, Mr. President, this is H.R. McMaster.
Polite, direct clarification. You'd expect maybe an apology, or at least some confusion, a quick hang-up.
That is not what allegedly happened, according to this piece.
No, the report claims the reaction was immediate and furious.
And profane. The quote cited is, why the F would I talk to H.R. McMaster?
Directed at the former National Security Advisor himself. It's quite something. The lack of professional decorum, if true, is stark.
And it didn't stop there, apparently. The commentary alleges the president then just launched into criticism.
A negative assessment of his former aide right then and there on this mistakenly connected call.
It speaks to a certain vindictiveness.
Yeah.
Pettiness, maybe. Using a wrong number as a chance to vent.
It does seem to point towards a highly personalized reaction to criticism, even perceived criticism. The error itself is one thing.
The significant thing.
Absolutely. A failure of basic staff work, presumably. But the reaction compounds it. It layers unprofessionalism on top of incompetence.
And we know the intended call was to Governor Henry McMaster, someone known to be a supporter.
Which highlights the contrast, doesn't it? The likely intended tone versus the actual reported interaction.
So who made the mistake? Who dialed the wrong McMaster?
Well, that's apparently unclear. The commentary notes ambiguity about who on the staff was responsible.
Which is maybe revealing in itself.
Yeah.
A lack of accountability for a pretty basic error at a very high level.
It raises questions about the systems in place. Are there proper checks before the president makes a call? You'd assume so.
You really would. Okay, so you have the mistake, the furious reaction, the personal attack. Then what? How does the White House handle this publicly?
Well, officially, they seem to have refused to comment on private presidential calls, which is standard practice to some extent.
But the communications director, Stephen Chung, he did comment, didn't he? To CBS News, I believe.
Yes, and his statement wasn't exactly designed to smooth things over. It was quite dismissive and, frankly, insulting towards H.R. McMaster.
What did it say?
According to reports, Chung called McMaster completely beclowned, said his book was third-rate and full of lies, and even called it a bargain bin item.
Wow. So instead of damage control, they doubled down on attacking the person who received the mistaken profane call.
That seems to be the approach described. It suggests a strategy of aggressive defense, attacking the credibility of anyone perceived as critical, even a decorated former general and advisor.
It really escalates things beyond just a simple, albeit embarrassing, mistake.
It does. It frames the entire incident not as an operational oops, but as another front in ongoing political battles.
So the commentary argues, and it's hard to disagree based on these details, that this isn't just a funny story about a wrong number.
No, it's presented as potentially indicative of wider issues. Dysfunction, perhaps, a lack of discipline, maybe a juvenile element to interactions.
A lack of basic professionalism and respect, especially for someone with McMaster's background in service.
It paints a picture of an environment where personal loyalty might be valued above all else, and where dissent or criticism is met with immediate hostility.
And what about H.R. McMaster in all this? Has he said anything?
He declined to comment, according to the reports.
Which maybe says everything it needs to. This situation is perhaps absurd enough on its face.
His silence could be interpreted in many ways dignity, perhaps, or simply seeing no value in engaging with that level of commentary.
So wrapping this up, the takeaway isn't just, oops, wrong number.
Not at all. It's this glimpse, this reported glimpse into a potentially chaotic and highly personalized operational style at the very top.
Where a simple staff error can allegedly trigger a profane outburst and further public attacks.
It connects a failure in basic procedure to a broader pattern of behavior highlighted in the commentary, the reaction to criticism, the personalization of disagreements.
So as you listen to this, think about what this single, seemingly small incident might suggest about the larger decision-making environment.
Right. What does it imply about the flow of information, the tolerance for differing views, and ultimately the effectiveness of governance when these kinds of errors happen and are met with such alleged volatility?
It's definitely something to mull over. What are the ripple effects when basic competence seems shaky and personal feelings override professional conduct? Makes you wonder.